Hello my dear students. So in my last class I was explaining about the polarizability and Raman spectrum, where we understood that according to the classical theory the electric field that is represented as E, which is associated with an electromagnetic radiation, it induces a dipole moment mu in the molecule. So with the help of this we are going to calculate mu, that is dipole moment, which is equals to alpha E, and alpha is called as the polarizability of the molecule and E is the electric field which is associated with the electromagnetic radiation. And we also understood that homonuclear molecules like nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, etc., which are IR inactive due to the absence of change in dipole moment, are Raman active. And the reason behind this was, these molecules, that is homonuclear molecules like nitrogen, hydrogen and oxygen, they are polarizable and hence the electromagnetic radiation can induce a dipole moment in them. So that is why these molecules are Raman active, whereas they are IR inactive. And then we understood rotational Raman spectrum and vibrational Raman spectrum, and also the selection rule for pure vibrational Raman spectrum. And although what and all the transitions could be possible, that was understood or learnt in our previous class. So in this session, let us understand about rotational vibrational Raman spectrum. So rotational vibrational spectroscopy is a branch of molecular spectroscopy which is concerned with infrared and Raman spectra of molecules in the gas phase. Transitions involving changes in both vibrational and rotational states can be abbreviated as rotational vibrational or rho vibrational transitions. When such transitions emit or absorb photons, that is electromagnetic radiations, the frequency is proportional to the difference in energy levels and can be detected by certain kind of spectroscopy. Since changes in rotational energy levels are typically much similar than the changes in vibrational energy levels, the changes in rotational state are said to give fine structure to the vibrational spectrum. For a given vibrational transition, the same theoretical treatment as for pure rotational spectroscopy gives the rotational quantum numbers, energy levels and selection rules. In linear and spherical top molecules, rotational lines are found as simple progressions at both higher and lower frequency relative to the pure vibrational frequency. In symmetric top molecules, the transitions are classified as parallel when the dipole moment change in parallel to the principal axis of the rotation and perpendicular when the change is perpendicular to that axis. So this is a simple definition or simple phenomenon which is going to happen in rotational vibrational spectroscopy generally. So in case of Raman spectrum, the Stokes and anti-Stokes lines of Raman spectrum, they contain a series of lines due to the vibrational and rotational transitions of the molecules. And the spectrum which is obtained due to this, it is called as rotational vibrational Raman spectrum. For rotational vibrational spectrum, the two selection rules are combined. Therefore, the selection rules for rotational vibrational spectrum is delta alpha, which is not equal to 0, and delta V is equals to plus or minus 1, and delta J is equals to 0 and plus or minus 2. At room temperature, suppose if we imagine V is equals to 0, then the level is highly populated. Therefore, the most probable transition is from V is equals to 0 to V is equals to 1. So when an electromagnetic radiation has been made to fall on a substance, so there only we can observe the probable transition, which will be from V is equals to 0 to V is equals to 1 in case of rotational vibrational Raman spectrum. Restricting our discussion only to this transition, so we have del nu bar, which is equals to del nu bar vibrational plus del nu bar rotational. So we are going to combine both the wave numbers which is obtained by vibrational state as well as a rotational state. So that gives us the difference in the wave number. When delta j is equals to 0, then delta nu will be equal to omega e into 1 minus 2xe, and it is called as Q branch. When delta j is equals to plus 2, then delta nu bar will be equal to omega e into 1 minus 2xe plus b into 4j plus 6, and it is called as S branch. And suppose when delta j is equals to minus 2, then delta nu or delta nu bar will be equal to omega e into 1 minus 2xe minus b into 4j plus 6, and it is called as O branch. Thus the vibrational rotational spectra of a diatomic molecules contains 3 branches as shown in this figure. So here, this represents the Q branch, and this is this is O branch, and this is Q branch, and this is S branch, and all this is wave numbers, that is nu bar. So this is when V is equals to 0, and this excitation what we have seen, so V is equals to 1. So therefore, we have restricted our discussion only to this transition, that is only a transition from V is equals to 0 to V is equals to 1. So this is because at room temperature V will be equal to 0, and at this level, so we are going to observe highly populated situation, and therefore the most probable transition will be only 1, that is from V is equals to 0 to V is equals to 1. So this is a clear typical rotational vibrational spectrum, that is Raman spectrum, so in which we can see O branch, Q branch and S branch during the transition of V is equals to 0 to V is equals to 1. So this is all about rotational vibrational Raman spectra. So next let us move on to the instrumentation part of this Raman spectroscopy. So this is a schematic diagram of Raman spectrometer, so which contains light sources. Okay, so light sources is very important. So light source is a mercury discharge lamp usually. So this mercury discharge lamp, so it will produce a intense monochromatic radiation, whereas nowadays laser light is used to get a intense beam. And we'll have a sample holder, and this will be connected to monochromator and amplifier, and next what and all the results has been recorded, so that will be recorded in the recorder. So usually it is a detector. So the detector is a photomultiplier, so we are going to use a photomultiplier as a detector. So this is a schematic diagram of Raman spectrometer, and this is how Raman spectrometer looks like. Okay, so this is a photograph which has been taken in the laboratory. So it just looks like a videographer. Okay, so now let us see how the experimental setup consists of. So the experimental setup, as I said, so it will have mainly 3 features or 3 components. So among those, so one is light source, sample holder and detector. So light source, as I said, is a mercury discharge lamp from which an intense monochromatic radiation is obtained, but nowadays laser light is used to get a intense beam. So sample holder will be usually gaseous or liquid samples is taken in a sample holder, which is made up of glass or visible light and made of quartz for UV light. Okay, so you can just imagine the sample tube or a cuvette which you are going to use during spectrophotometric experiment. So that quartz, so they are also made up of quartz, and they will be UV light active. They will absorb the visible light. Okay, in the same way, so the sample holder which is used in this Raman spectrometer, so it is also made up of glass for visible light, and it is made up of quartz for UV light. The intense radiation from the source is allowed to fall on the sample. Next, the horn shape prevents direct reflection of light from the sample holder. So next, the third component is detector. So the scattered light is detected at right angles using a detector. The detector is a photomultiplier, and the signals are then amplified and recorded. So this is all about instrumentation part of Raman spectrometer. So now let us see what are the unique advantages of Raman spectroscopy. Any convenient source of radiation can be used in Raman spectroscopy. It is not like we have to adjust the wavelength or frequency of electromagnetic radiation. So any convenient source of radiation is used. Even visible or UV radiations can also be used in Raman spectroscopy. The center of vibration bands which do not appear in IR are seen in Raman spectra. And another important thing is, as we have already discussed, so the homonuclear molecules like nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, etc., so which are IR inactive due to the absence of dipole moment, are Raman active. That is because of the polarizable nature of these homonuclear molecules. So this is a very important advantage of using this Raman spectroscopy or Raman spectrometer. So the homonuclear molecules which could not be analyzed using the IR spectroscopic technique can be easily analyzed or identified with the help of Raman spectrometer. And the fourth advantage of Raman spectroscopy is that the sample cell can be made up of glass or quartz, because Raman spectroscopy makes use of UV or visible radiation, whereas IR spectrum requires special materials. So such type of special materials are not required in case of Raman spectroscopy. So we find this as an advantage. So these are some of the advantages of Raman spectroscopy. So if we make a note, there is many things along with this. We can have many other advantages also, like the incident and scattered radiation is in the visible or UV conventional optics. So therefore the monochromators and sample cells can be used. And we can also focus the laser beam to very small spot size that is difficult to focus IR. So in case of IR, it is very difficult to focus, whereas in Raman spectroscopy, we can focus the laser beam to a very small spot size. Water absorbs strongly in the IR. So therefore, the vibrational nodes or double beam spectrometer is used, but water is very weak in Raman scattering. So therefore, we can use aqueous solution for Raman spectroscopy, which is not allowed or possible in IR spectroscopy. So this is another advantage, very important advantage. And also other solvents which could dissolve or soluble, the samples also can be examined. For example, biological samples also can be examined in Raman spectroscopy. And using pulsed laser sources, we can look at the time dependence of Raman intensities. So in such a case, so we can observe transient species in reactions. So in this way, there are many advantages of Raman's spectroscopy. So now let us see the applications of Raman spectroscopy. Raman spectroscopy can be used to study different types of isomers. In association with IR spectra, it can be used to distinguish between cis and trans isomers of C2H2Cl2, or the cis isomer is both IR and Raman active, but trans isomer is IR inactive due to the presence of center of symmetry, but it is Raman active. So that is why, so this Raman spectrometry can be used to study different types of isomers. And the next application is that electrolytic dissociation and hydrolysis reactions can be studied. Molecular structure can be studied with the help of this Raman spectroscopy, and it is used to study the structure of crystals. And this method can be used to study biological systems such as proteins in aqueous solutions. So these are some of the applications of Raman spectroscopy. So now we are at the end of this chapter. So let us make a distinction between IR and Raman spectroscopy. Scattered light by the vibrating molecule is used in Raman spectroscopy. Absorbance of light by vibrating molecule is used in IR spectroscopy. Polarizability of the molecule is the necessary condition for spectra, whereas in IR spectroscopy, polarizability is not a necessary condition for obtaining a spectra. Change in dipole moment for the molecule is not required in Raman spectroscopy, whereas the change in dipole moment is required to get the spectra in IR spectroscopy. Sample must be pure and transparent, where if we want to use or analyze a sample using Raman spectroscopy, it should be pure and transparent, whereas this condition is not necessary in case of IR. Even impure sample can be analyzed in the IR spectroscopic technique. So these are some of the distinctions between IR and Raman spectra. So with this I am going to stop it here, and we have completed this Raman spectroscopy. So that is chapter 1.2, and we have also completed paper 6 of your syllabus. Okay, so in my next class we will start with other spectroscopy chapter which is there in paper 5, or we will complete the electrochemistry. Okay, so that is left. So we will meet in my next class. Thank you, dear students.